Hello everyone, this is Dr. Vivek Kumar from Mechanical Engineering Department, School of Technology, Pandit Deen Dayal Petroleum University, Gandhinagar. I am starting a lecture series on PG course Product Design and Development. This is my first lecture. It will be covering the techniques how to benchmark a product and establish the product engineering specification. Now first we need to define the benchmarking. At its simplest, benchmarking means improving ourselves by learning from the others. So we can say that benchmarking is a technique to measure an organization against other organizations and identifying opportunities and approaches to improve ourselves. Benchmarking relates to product development by providing an external perspective on opportunities to improve our product, technology, manufacturing processes, product development processes, and engineering practices. The starting point is to develop a willingness to scrutinize an organization's operations and product and be willing to compare them with other organizations without being defensive. In technical terms, we can define the benchmarking as a process of improving performance by continuously identifying, understanding, and adapting outstanding practices found inside and outside the organization. From inside the organization means the practices or the processes that has been adopted by the different departments within an organization. And from outside the organization, we means the different companies which have been performing well in the same industries. So let us take an example of 5 companies which are working in a cement industries. Company A, B, C, and the company for which we will be performing the benchmarking, and then the company D. So when we compare the performance of our client, the company A, B, and C are performing better as compared to us, and the company D is performing downside. So we will be performing the benchmarking of our product or practices as compared to that of the company A, B, and C. So in a benchmarking, we continuously measure product, services, and practices against the toughest competitors or those who are recognized as industry leaders. So we have identified benchmarking as a process of comparing one business process and performance metrics to industry's best or the best practices from other industries. So in the benchmarking, we will find out that how our competitors are better as compared to us. We have to identify the reasons. Then why are others better? We need to identify the functions or the technology they are using for the better performance. So what we can learn from them? Here we can introduce same or the better technologies in our product. How can we catch up? We formulate a strategy to compete and surface them in the market. And finally, in long term, we have to be best performer in the market or in the same industry. Some of the prerequisites for the benchmarking process is that we have to be humble enough to admit that we are wrong and someone else is performing things in a better manner. Then we will have to be wise enough to try, learn, match, and even surpass them in it. So for this we have to try new innovations, learn from others' experiences, innovate, and continuously update our. Some of the features of the benchmarking processes are that it is a continuous method of measuring and comparing a firm business against those of the other firms. By continuous method, we means benchmarking is not a time bound. It should happen throughout the product life cycle and may even lead to new S-curves in the product development. Another feature is that it discovers performance gaps between the one's own process and those of the leading firms. Performance gaps means performance indices of a product. And finally, incorporating leading firms' processes into our own strategies to fill these performance gaps and improve the performance of our product. This means that we learn the functional that enable other product to perform better and then implement these functions into our own product. Sometimes an industry is itself defined as a benchmark. A benchmark is an organization recognized for its exemplary operational performance. Some of the examples of benchmark in world industries are Toyota in processes. Toyota set the industry standards in terms of the manufacturing practices and the processes. Similarly, softwares and the workload used in performance tests are optimized only for performance on Intel microprocessors. Motorola solutions rapidly analyze complex issues such as training the right technological solutions and business network architecture that best fits in need of our organization. Another example is the Scandinavian Airlines, which have been established as a role model in customer services. Customer complaints for delayed, cancelled, and overbooked were settled by the Scandinavian in 24 days as compared to average 100 days taken by other airlines. Now the question is what to benchmark. Here we need to identify resources, capabilities, or process that can add value to our product. So all these resources and capabilities that can be broadly categorized into two groups. One is known as the support activities and another will be the primary activities. Activities such as firm infrastructure, human resource management, technology development, R&D, product and process improvement, procurement of raw materials, machines and supplies will be falling under the support activities. Then the inbound and outbound logistics operations, various machining operations, assembly operation or the testing of the product, marketing and the sales services, after sales services such as service centers, installations, repairs and the part, they will be falling under the primary activities. Both the support activities and the primary activities, they will be collectively collaborating towards the profit margins we can get from a benchmark product or the new developed product. Some of the common performance measures on which the performance or a product between the different companies can be benchmarked are financial ratio. Here the financial ratio refers to the financial power of our company with respect to the financial power of our competitor. The financial ratio can be computed by comparing the information from the balance sheet of the two companies. Then productivity ratio is the another performance measure. Productivity ratio refers to the output by input of individual companies. Here input is all the resources that you have pumped into the system and output will be the profit margins. Then the third commonly benchmark measures is the customer related results. It refers to the customer feedback on various aspects of the product. Another benchmark feature is or the performance measure is the operating results. Operating results refers to the performance of two comparing products over a wide range of the operating conditions. Then the available human resources. Here we will be comparing the available technical and the managerial manpower between the two companies. Quality measures refers to the various techniques adopted to inspect and control the quality of the product by the different companies. Also the market share and the structural measures or the structural infrastructure possessed by the two companies or the different companies which have been benchmarked can be compared. Improvement obtained in any product, process or the system by benchmarking can be categorized into two ways or the two types. We can say the continuous and the breakthrough improvement. Continuous improvement is about many small improvements initiated and implemented by anyone and everyone in the organization to improve the quality of their working processes and practices. Simplifying administrative processes by eliminating unnecessary copies or installing racks of organizing equipment in a more visual and orderly fashion, color coding, etc. They will be falling under the continuous improvement. Breakthrough improvement involves major improvements in the key business areas. They are often chronic problems solved permanently through focused, dedicated resources working for a limited period of time. Breakthrough improvement generally occurs when a new technology is implemented during the starting of a S-curve. Customers' expectations are highly liquid and are driven by the standards set by the best performers. Any product or services just below these standards may not catch the eye of the customers. So, the benchmarking quantifies what and how our product is performing as compared to some of the benchmark products. Some of the advantages of using the benchmarking are imparting continuous and breakthrough improvement in our product, induce creative thinking in our design and development team. The product is developed with contemporary technological advancement, and maintaining the delighted level of the customer's expectations from our product, improving the market share of our product in the particular industry. Then it may also lead to the innovations in management method. And finally, we will maintain and exceed the quality measures in product set by the governing bodies in the industry. Benchmarking may always not produce the improved performance of your product. It will be depend upon the level with which the benchmarking has been applied in a particular area or a particular process. Some organizations don't understand the actual purpose of this strategy and start copying their competitors in every aspect. This may even lead to downfall of the business. Sometimes the company is unable to gather the adequate amount of the information for benchmarking. This leads to improper and inadequate comparison of the company performance with that of its competitor. Last but not least, the benchmarking leads the company to depend on other companies' strategies to become successful in a particular industry. This flowchart represents a typical benchmarking process. It is an highly iterative process. The major phases in the benchmarking processes are planning, analysis, integration, action, and maturity. Now we will discuss each and every stage of benchmarking process in details. Planning is the first phase of benchmarking process. The planning phase determines the need for benchmarking and the areas which require it. In this phase, the different competitors are also identified and selected for the benchmarking process. The performance indices, that is the performance measures of a product, process, systems are also selected in this phase. Means to collect the relevant data are also decided at this particular stage. Generally, the required data to perform the benchmarking process is collected through salespeople's customer care service and customer feedback form. Analysis is the second phase of the benchmarking process. It comes after the planning phase of the benchmarking process. Once all the data has been collected to perform the benchmarking process, the company then analyzes the data to find out the strength of the competitors. Also, the company weaknesses are also listed out. A to-do list is generated to find out the ways of improving the performance of our product or a process. Action is the next phase in the benchmarking process. Now the design team and the management team proposes a workable plan. The employees execute the benchmarking plan or the action plan. The action plan starts with identifying specific tasks and their sequence. Required resources such as technical manpower and raw materials are identified in this stage. After this, a team is formulated and specific responsibilities are assigned to each and every team member. Expected outcomes and measures to continuously monitor the quality of the system or the product or a process is also defined in this stage. Recalibration is the final stage of the benchmarking process. It is at this phase where the result of using benchmarking to improve the business operations can be observed. If the results from the initial phases are not as per the goals which have been set in the initial phases of the benchmarking process, then the benchmarking process iterates back to its initial stage and whole process is repeated. This iterative process will go on until a maturity level is reached or the goals initially set are achieved. A successful application of the benchmarking will lead to the attainment of the market leadership in the industry. Benchmarking can be performed in two manners using what and who approach. What is being compared with the other organization and who is being compared with our organization. The who benchmarking refers to the comparison of the organizational performance internally, either with its previous years or the month performance or with that of its competitors, that is the companies belonging to the same industries. Here the information is usually gathered and circulated within the organization itself. In the benchmarking strategy, the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats of the companies are listed out and analyzed by the management. The management themselves study and identify the strategies and practices of the other companies who are the market leader in the same industry. Thereafter, a plan is formulated for the desired course of action. In this technique, benchmarking is performed using performance metrics and the functions of the competitor products. In external benchmarking, the company compares their performance with that of its competitors across the globe, usually by the data collected through associations or the third parties. To improve the performance standard, the company belonging to a particular industry collaborate with industrial associations. The company analyzes the competitors' method, task, techniques of productions and the means of distribution. It also studies the standard mechanism of performing a particular functions and to modify its ways accordingly. This strategy focuses on the in-depth analysis of the competitor's product to know its features and composition. The company compares its various departments like finance, production, distribution, marketing, and human resources with those of its competitors to enhance the efficiency of the each division. This strategy is usually adopted when the company is planning to implement a new policy, idea, or modifying the existing one. The team compares the company approach with that of other successful companies in the industry before bringing it into practice. Once the benchmarking is completed, we have to establish engineering specification of the product. This flowchart represents concept development activities associated with the product development process. It starts with a mission statement and ends at the product development plan. The whole process requires iterations at each stage to obtain desired result in an activity. After performing the benchmarking, the question arises how to translate the customer needs into precise targets in the development effort. This is achieved by establishing engineering specification of a product. A specification is the performance indices and it consists of a metric such as pressure, its value, and its unit. Specification has also a set of specs. For example, a product assembly usually requires a hierarchy of specification for the final product and each of its components. The specifications can be broadly categorized into three types. One is the target specifications. The target specifications are the hope and the aspirations of a designer. They will refer to the best design, not considering this cost constraints. After performing the benchmarking, now the question arises how to translate the customer's need into precise target in the development effort. This is achieved by establishing engineering specification. A specification is a performance index of a product or a process, and it usually consists of a metric, a unit, and a particular numerical value. The specifications can also be a set of sub-specifications. For example, a product assembly usually requires a hierarchy of specification for the final product as well as each of its component or sub-assemblies. Engineering specifications are broadly categorized into three types of the specifications: target specification, refined specifications, and final specifications. Now we will discuss the type of specification in further detail. Target specifications are the goal of the development team, describing a product that the team believes would succeed in the marketplace. The target specifications are established after the customer needs have been identified, but before product concept have been generated and the most promising one has been selected. Later, these specifications will be refined based on the certain limitations or the constraint, trade-off, for example, cost and the mass. If we increase the mass in the system for the better design, then the cost of the product or the process will escalate. So we have to trade off between the cost and the mass of the product of the concept actually selected. The difficult part of refining the specification is choosing how such trade-off will be resolved. Once all the trade-offs are settled or resolved, the products will get the final specifications, which get mentioned in the project contract book of the procedure for establishing target specification consists of 4 steps. In the first step, we will identify a list of metrics and measurement units that sufficiently address the needs. Then in the second step, we will collect the competitive benchmarking information. In the third step, we will set ideal and the marginal values, that is the target values of the each matrix, and finally we will be getting reflected on the results and the process. The most useful metrics are those that reflect as directly as possible the degree to which the product satisfies the customer need. The working assumption is that a translation from the customer need to a set of precise and measurable specification is possible. The meeting specification will lead to satisfaction of the associated customer needs. The ideal value. The ideal value is the best result the team could hope for. The marginally accepted values is the value of the metric that would just barely make the product commercially viable. The team may require some iteration to agree on the target. Reflection after each iterations help to ensure that the results are consistent with the goal of the project. Once the target have been set, the team can proceed to generate solution concept. The target specification then can be used to help the team select a concept and will help the team know when a concept is economically viable. Here the procedure for setting the final specifications are depicted. As the team finalizes the choice of concept and prepare for subsequent design and development, the specifications are revisited or redesigned. Specifications that originally were only target, expressed as broad range of values, are now refined and made more precise. A technical model of the product is a tool for predicting the value of the. As the team finalizes the choice of a concept and prepare for subsequent design and development, the specifications are revisited or revised. Specifications that originally were only target, expressed as broad range of values, are now refined and made more precise. So in establishing the final specification, the first step is to develop the technical model to assess the technical feasibility of the concept. The input is design variable and the output is a measuring unit matrix. A technical model of the product is a tool for predicting the values of the matrix for a particular set of design variables. Here model refers to both technically and physical approximation of the product. Next step is to develop a cost model of product. The goal of this step is to make sure that the product can be produced at the target cost. The target cost is the manufacturing cost at which the company and its distributor partners can make adequate profit while still offering the product to the end customers at a competitive price. The third step is refines the specification, making trade-offs where necessary to form a competitive map. Once the team has constructed technical performance models where possible and constructed a preliminary cost model, these tools can be used to develop final specification. Finalizing specifications can be accomplished in a group session in which feasible combinations of values are determined through the use of the technical models, and then cost implications are explored. It is in an iterative fashion the team converges on the specifications that will most favorably position the product relative to the completion and will best satisfy the customer's need and will ensure adequate profit. The next step is the flow down the final overall specifications to specifications of each subsystem component and a part. Establishing specifications is usually more challenging when developing a highly complex product consists of multiple subsystems designed by multiple development teams. In such a product, the specifications are used to define the development objectives of each of the subsystems as well as the product as a whole. The challenge in this case is to flow down the overall specifications to specifications of each system. The last stage of establishing the final specification is reflect on the result to see. In this step, we will analyze whether our product is a winner or not, how much uncertainty is in the technical and the cost model, and whether there is a need to develop a better technical model. If all these questions are appropriately answered in this stage, then we will proceed with the concept generation. Otherwise, we will move back to the point 1 and undergo the iterations so that finally all the goals of the final specifications are met.